Warren Buffett wants higher taxes for the rich, the very, very, very rich, whom he says are coddled. He also calls the Tea Party's approach to budget talks insane. Let's bring in, then, to answer that, Congressman Joe Walsh. He's a first-term Republican from Illinois and a member of the Tea Party caucus. Congressman Walsh is in Chicago joining us. So thanks for spending the taking the time out, Congressman. What do you think, first of all, about Warren Buffett's op-ed a few weeks ago for the extremely rich to pay more in taxes?
I think Mr. Buffett needs a day job. He's got too much time on his hands. I mean, this is ridiculous. He's so disingenuous, but it's interesting. He's heating up his rhetoric because I think he's so his support for the president is so desperate. Look, he knows a couple things. He always talks about the fact that the folks that work for him pay more taxes than him because he gets most of his income from capital gains and dividends. He knows that's disingenuous. He knows that when you.
But that's what he's saying, is that he's saying people such as himself, and he did point out these capital gains loopholes, if you want to call them that, are exactly what he's saying. He actually doesn't mind giving up for parts of his investments so that he pays taxes. And granted, as Matt pointed out, we're only talking about the very, very rich. We're not talking about middle-class America. We're not talking about upper-middle-class America. We're talking about billionaires.
No, and that's the most troubling aspect. I think the latest estimates were that we have about 250,000 millionaires and billionaires. President Obama wants to increase their taxes 13%. According to the latest figures, that'll add about $26 billion to the government pot. You're talking about trillions of dollars worth of deficits, a $14 trillion debt. He knows darn well, and the president knows darn well, that you can't tax millionaires and billionaires and do anything about the deficit or the debt. Most Americans get it.
Why? Is this because it's a drop in the bucket, do you mean?
Absolutely. And most Americans see through that. That's why this is so disingenuous. You can't do anything about the deficit and the debt if you go after millionaires and billionaires. And somebody as coddled as Warren Buffett knows that.
Well, and to your point, I mean, there are only about 1,000 billionaires, right? Deirdre and I were talking about the fact that if you make $1 million, you don't cut it in this club. That's not what Warren Buffett's talking about. So obviously it's a tiny group of the population, which also is a group that incidentally could easily move all of its wealth to a different country if it wanted to.
Absolutely.
Let's go a different direction, though, here, Congressman. A lot of people, a lot of Republicans that I've heard from recently are concerned that the Tea Party has helped us miss a great opportunity during the debt debate to reform the tax code, which so many people would like to see. Why was there such a we won't budge approach to these negotiations? I mean, Warren Buffett's point is interesting. Why should I pay more tax on income that I earn working, say, at a gas station than you should on income that you earn from bonds that your parents gave you? I mean, why don't we reform this tax code to make more sense?
We should, and Republicans have been talking about reforming the code for years. We should do that, and we will do that. But look, thank God for these troublesome Tea Party Republicans. I mean, just imagine how life would be different if we weren't in Congress. We'd have raised the debt ceiling without even thinking about it a few months ago. Maybe that would have made Mr. Buffett happy.
Honestly, many people blame the Tea Party for the impasse in raising the ceiling, for the impasse in the budget debate, and actually argue that we lost our credit rating. The U.S. lost our credit rating because of the inexperience of some of the Tea Party.
We lost our credit rating because this country is in debt. We lost our credit rating because this president has increased the debt $4 trillion in 2.5 years. He knows that. Warren Buffett knows that. And that's what the credit agencies told us. Look, the American people understand that if these troublesome Tea Party Republicans hadn't gotten here, we'd have raised the debt ceiling without even thinking about it, and we'd be spending away our kids' future every single day.
We want to continue the conversation. We're going to ask you to sit tight. Congressman Joe Walsh is going to be rejoining us after this quick break.
All right, we are back with Congressman Joe Walsh of Illinois, a freshman Republican and a member of the Tea Party caucus, rejoining us from Chicago. Congressman, thanks for staying with us through the break.
Thank you.
Let me ask you what you expect from the super committee coming up here, because it didn't look like compromise was a possibility, and really the debt deal probably didn't accomplish all that much as far as actually reducing debt. What do you expect from the super committee coming up?
My expectations aren't high. Look, the debt deal didn't do much. It disappointed me that we formed this super committee to do the work that Congress should do. Maybe there's an opportunity that they can come together on something. Certainly there's an incentive for them to come together on something, because if they can't, there'll be automatic cuts to defense and automatic cuts to Medicare, and I don't think anybody up on Capitol Hill wants that. But look, we just keep putting off the hard decisions, and I think we're beyond a committee, we're beyond a commission. We need to cut spending, and Congress just isn't serious enough about it, and this president has no clue.
You know, a viewer writes in and asked me if the idea that raising taxes, what do you think about the idea that raising taxes on the wealthy, on the millionaires and billionaires, would at least help the people earning less to stomach the cuts in the social net that they're going to see? I mean, it's a compromise, right? Isn't that what politics is all about?
Ultimately, yes. But again, it makes no sense. If you raise taxes on millionaires and billionaires, you'll do nothing to address the debt and deficit. And the thing you might do is you might finally put this economy over another cliff. These millionaires and billionaires are the folks that try to create jobs and help grow the economy. The last thing we want to do is increase taxes on them right now.
What about the idea that, you know, if we would get rid of the loopholes and the deductions that a lot of people say are Washington's gravy train, and that's the reason that the politicians will never allow us to do that. But if we could and flattened the tax, had everyone put a little skin in the game here, we could raise revenues and really get this country growing at the same time.
We could and we should. Everybody gets ticked off about GE paying no taxes. Look, we have a complicated, convoluted tax system, and only big corporations and wealthy individuals like Warren Buffett can take advantage of it. We need to simplify and flatten the code, get rid of all the loopholes. Again, Republicans have been talking about this for a while, so that the wealthiest pay their fair share. We just don't want to increase taxes. We want them to pay their fair share.
All right, Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. Congressman Joe Walsh joining us from Illinois, coming to us there from Chicago.